And welcome here, everyone. We are excited to get underway with our lower bracket matchup here. We are now starting in the do or die section of our playoffs, and I couldn't ask for a better team to do it with. My name is Orbital. With me is, of course, Temporal subbing in here, and then, of course, the real Rev going to be joining us here on the desk. We have our lovely casters on the other side that we will also be introducing to you later. But Temporal, Rev, how you both feeling?
My neck hurts, and I hope that the teams, even in the lower bracket, are in less pain than I am in right now.
Oof. I mean, I'm feeling fantastic. I don't know.
Let's go.
I'm loving my life right now. I'm on a 4-day break for everything, and I'm ready to see some nice League of Legends.
Maximum.
Let's hope so. I mean, it is Verzik and Belfast Storm, two teams that we have seen had their highs and lows. Unfortunately, a few more lows than they would really like to imagine, and that is why they are here right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rosters that'll be joining us here today, starting with Verzik's side. Of course, this is a team that has had multiple ups and downs. Temporal, if you want to walk us through.
Yeah, much like Verzik of last season, sort of struggled to find their way, and then hit like an archetypal way to win the game, shade a crushing top strangler on these huge carry jungle performances. Brandon, you did to highlight my favorite too, but we'll have a little more time. And with it, Verzik snuck into the lower bracket. You know, didn't quite unseat Paragon for the upper bracket. Nearly happened, but yeah, they're here to play their game and see how good it looks.
I mean, we hope so, right? Because on the other side is Belfast Storm, who have had some ups and downs of their own, and I mean, they're a team that we are hoping to see something change. And I mean, Rev, if you want to talk to us about this squad as well.
Yeah, honestly, we have seen something change. We saw Momo coming into the game, and I'm really excited to see how he will fare in the playoffs, because at times when he has been given the space, when Timur can soak up all that pressure, he has been the one to carry his team through all kinds of shenanigans. So I am really excited to see if he will continue scaling up throughout the season.
Yes, I mean, hopefully they'll have more of the season to play, right? That is why they're here in the playoffs. They're hoping that there's going to be quite a few matchups. I mean, if you win here, you're up against pretty stiff opponents, though. I mean, there was a match that surprised, I think a few of us, right? It was Lion's Creed will be the next matchup if you win here. But you're talking a lot about Momo on that side for Belfast Storm. I mean, Verzik also have a couple players that have really stood out to us, at least, and I mean, comparatively across the staff, I think it was really in the ADC and jungle position. We have a couple stats, I believe, that we're going to bring up that kind of showcase a little bit that even though Verzik are here in the lower bracket, they are decently strong if granted champions that they excel on in Temporal. You had, I think, some words, Rev, also some, but we'll start with Temporal about this ADC position, and there is a very big champion that kind of sticks out to us.
Absolutely. Soren J on his Varus has done an excellent job this split of providing that backbone and sort of being the help to get Shader ahead over the line. This is Porp and Bartholdi. We're not quite there yet. That's all right.
We
That's
tried.
cool.
We tried.
Absolutely. You know, Verzik have somewhat been streaky. Shout out Zoe, who's pinned this in the production notes. They went 0-4. They then went 7-1, and then they went 0-2. So big swings and misses. And you know, that's okay. If you figured out how and when for your team, you will be able to try and engineer that in playoffs. And that sort of gives you that extra spark in these best of threes. We saw it with Paragon, you know, if you find the line, the series meta, you can just find a way through.
And it's a big part of it. You'll need it. You'll need a lot of that skill to kind of route through your opponents here. Rev, on the other side, Belfast Storm, we had some exceptional stats here, maybe not so exceptional in this playoffs run right now. The teams that are currently in the bracket, Belfast Storm unfortunately have a very dire record. If you kind of want to explain to us what might go down here and hopefully what they're trying to turn around here.
Well, yeah, it's Belfast Storm and 5 other teams in the playoff brackets right now, and there's 0 Ws, else across the board, 0 and 10 versus all other teams in the playoffs. So it is, Belfast Storm really is the gatekeeper team for nations this season. So if you want to go into playoffs, you need to beat a Belfast Storm, and this has happened every single time. Now that you're in playoffs, what's going on from this point onwards? Because have you found out what makes you lose that? Have you found out the lack of consistency, the lack of finding how to find leads, how to close out games? Because this is where you get punished more often than not, and this is where the good and steady teams are shining and just stomping all other teams.
I think that's big, and it's a scary notion to have for Belfast Storm. They have a long road ahead of them. Of course, you were talking about gatekeepers and how do you overcome those. I think there is a few pieces to that puzzle, namely a certain champion that has been running rampant here in the UKEL playoffs, whether it's on the ban bench or on the pick bench. It is one of the two. And Rev, I love the fact that every time we talk about some champions, we didn't talk about the Varus with you because you would have gone on a tangent. Let's talk about this one right now. It is going to be that Volibear that has had 100% pick or ban rate across the entirety, and there's a reason we see it picked up sometimes and banned. I mean, Rev, what do you think? Is this actually the true staple? Is this just like early playoff shenanigans?
No, I think that Volibear right now, his meta state is low accurate because he is a beast of a champion and he has so many uses. Do you need a drain tank? Do you need just someone to create space? Do you need a skirmisher? Do you need a diver? He can fill in all those positions, and honestly, it's a flex as well. You can play him top, you can play him jungle. If you're not a coward, you can play him in the support position as well, bulk out a little bit with your E. But we see his early skirmishing is extremely valuable for the team. He can provide so much momentum.
Effect?
And I think we can see how strong he is, how much sustain he has, and he's a champion that can even scale pretty well right now.
I don't know if that was
so
audible
excited.
on stream, but we only got it a little bit. But there was a goal moment when Bartolome ripped Porp apart there at level 3. And I don't know, Volibear is super special to me. He was like patched and updated when I was last in UKL and then UKLC qualifiers. And we played it the night after it came out. It's such a strong jungler. It offers so much across the board in addition to its great dueling power. It's just the one sort of unit juggernaut that allows a superstar jungler, and we do have quite a few fantastic junglers down at this level of play, who are ready to carry, who are ready to take over, and it's so exciting to watch.
I mean, I think you just leaned right into the next point, because that is the position that we really do want to watch for here today. There are two junglers that have stood out to us, and especially for these teams, they really need to step even further into that role, right? Dunlosi as well as Strangler have both had phenomenal seasons in their wins, and comparatively, both of them have led to a pretty fair extent. You can take a look here. It is just very impressive, right? Dunlosi sitting there 358 across multiple stats, 11k, just very impressive to be able to handle that side. But on the other side, Strangler with that signature Udyr, 20,000 damage in the pocket. Like, honestly, this is gonna be fun, I think.
Yeah, especially when you consider the kind of champions, like he's playing mostly Udyr, and it's 20k damage average per game. That's bonkers to me, because you kind of scale down naturally. Those champions are not allowed to carry games the longer the game state goes. So after 25-30 minutes, you're just a stun bot, a minion, something that will delay and annoy the enemy backline, and that's all. And for you to find so many windows and so much presence early on in the game, it's really impressive to me. So I'll be looking at Strangler, and on the other side, Dunlosi, I know I think I've embraced my reputation as a negative Nancy, so I am not a believer, but please, I would love for you to make me, I don't know, a Delulu analyst, and have me eat my words. I will eat a piece of paper or something, I don't know.
Maybe something a little more nutritious. Just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Piece of paper with a little bit of mayo.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard things of like eating our sock or eating our shoe, I think is a statement, but I don't think anyone's ever taken that literally on the
Yo,
desk.
in the league space, GBay99 ate fried sock.
That was where it came
That's
from.
on YouTube.
Oh no.
I'm sad now. I just said that and I got immediately proven wrong by Temporal.
No,
Like,
it's not a good memory. Please don't do this. Like, removing it from memories is great, Absolutely the way forwards. Hopefully, neither of our teams eat inedible cotton today.
We say that, and yet that would be one of the funniest content
If
pieces I think.
if it's a swift 2-0 either way, we're coming back to this. This is a brand.
All right. So with that in mind, I do want to get kind of final predictions here, at least from us before we see the draft. I think it's always fun because in this series we have some fantastic matchups. I know where I'm leaning, but Temporal, I want to start with you. Where do we expect? Who do we expect to really come out on top, and what do you think the score is going to be between?
Okay, if this is the crystal stein of divination of the future, we're gonna divine some knowledge from it. I think 2-1 Verzik. I think it's going to be a tight series. I think these teams struggle sort of mirror each other well. We've been over like Verzik wants to smash top. Belfast kind of wants to get going. We can highlight maybe that Azir is gone on this patch, and that's a Limsy power pick that always drew bans in draft. That always sort of crystallized his ability to control mage into team fight sweep. Now instead, I don't know if he's had time to learn Hui. We're going back to Orianna, more conditional picks. It's difficult. I think someone's going to get away with it in game 1, right? We're going to see it come back in game 2. Then a compromise in game 3. And that's going to be like the tense, like, oh man, it's been so long since we've had a best of 3s not at a Riot event. But at IEMs, when you shipped like essentially like the idiot 18-year-olds who we now know as like a double lift, and like our veteran players out somewhere, and we're like, go win the check, otherwise we might not be able to afford the flight home. We're on that energy. We're on the chaotic how did we get here.
I don't know if that's a jab at NA or not. Like,
yeah, we deserve it. Good lord. Good
just
lord,
a little.
the
Holy
gameplay.
moly, man.
It's been better than Europe this split, but that's not a compliment that like it usually is. It's like awful.
The bar is low, honestly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the West doomed. These two teams, reasonably our future.
Yeah, are you sure that's water in there in that crystal water? Holy moly! All right, let's get things rolling, Rev. What are you looking at over there? What are you hoping to see out of the series? We got a 2-1-2 Verzik for Temporal. What do you think?
Well, I think not predicting a 2-1 is dumb. Honestly, both of those teams have the strength. Both of those teams have been known to face plant into, I don't know, cement at times. So
straight to the ground.
I'm gonna
right where that bar
some,
is. Right where that bar is.
I'm gonna expect some slight choking in the mid game, like once or twice. But I would disagree with the compromise in game 3. I think game 3 is like total Wild West area where randomly you go and pick a B1 Ornn because F it, we're just gonna team fight our way into victory. We'll have more powerful items, and we will just skill diff you, and on that skill diff area, I think that Verzik have proved themselves a little bit more. So I'm a Verzik believer, 2-1.
Yeah, I think they're slightly more likely to get away with it, right? Slightly.
Just like,
I like
2.5% more likely, no more.
I love the fact that this is not based on, they're going to be really coordinated. We're going to get a really good series. It's literally like someone's going to stumble about 15 times and eventually one of them will pick up the pieces at the end of it.
It's the raw vibes. We don't have in the West, and this is like an entire West criticism, ERL's tier 1. We don't have enough teams that are like even and like close. I think it's a symptom of best of 1 as well. No one's close. These two are so close.
Yeah, and it's a matter of like, actually, how do you feel? Which team will prevail in the absolute banger that's going to ensue? Who have their mariachi hats and I don't know, maracas ready? Because
vibe?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready for the fiesta.
I never thought I would ever hear on an EU broadcast just vibe with it. That is like wholly NA side of the thing, I feel like. Listen, we're vibing with the fact that we've barely made it out of group stage in any international event. We're just vibing over here. We're having a blast. Taking a look, though, just to dive in a little bit further, I know we talked a little bit about Soren J, the Varus we talked about, and obviously we're sitting here going, there's some champions aside the Valla there that we got to see banned out. There's a high chance that Soren J does not get that champion, but still can be a very big playmaker for the team. My question actually comes in on the other side. For Belfast Storm, we talked about that jungle pathing in there, the two kind of duking it out. If there is going to be another carry for Belfast Storm, outside of the jungle role, where do you think it is going to occur?
I mean,
For Belfast, outside of the jungle.
it's okay. Now we're playing on hard mode, I feel.
Yeah. Well, that's my
alright,
job as a
that's
host,
okay.
isn't it? Bring up the questions. Have a little bit of fun with this.
I got an idea. Rev, you got an idea?
Well,
Honestly,
honestly,
we've seen a little bit more Zeri, and I called the Zeri in our previous series, which if you haven't seen, you should go and watch. The VODs are below this Twitch channel. You should queue that one up for after. We saw Zeri, and Zeri is an insurance policy. You know, it's not Smolder. Smolder, if it gets through pick and ban, like wow, incredible. But when she does go late, she has that front to back. She has the chaotic energy. I want Soranjay, even if not on the Zeri, to be that late game insurance policy. We saw Sivir buffs in the patch. Aphelios with Shiv is a similar late game hedge bet.
Ooh. Yeah, and all right, well, let's do it, because I mean, we did talk a little bit about Momo as well. We didn't lean into it as heavily, but I think it's going to be fun to see if that kind of change up is going to be there. Rev, you mentioned it as well, but of course, we know what comes out. We knew what some of these bans are going to be. It's pretty straightforward there. I'm expecting a Varus on the back end, and then, you know, maybe a Volibear on the side of Verzik, just like, yo, these are some of the champions. Also, I would like to, now, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not. I think we are still waiting on the massive Smolder buffs to come, or massive Smolder nerfs, sorry, other side of the bracket, to come out here. So we're still waiting. Surprising to see the Lucian though. Temporal, your eyes went a little bit crazy there.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. 2 target bans on first round. Normally, if you're only sliding 1 or 2 target bans in, especially on blue side, that's 2-3. You want to set the tone, set the pace, maybe with something like a Smolder ban or like a this is what's going to happen today sort of setup. Instead, 1 and 2 for blue, both targets. Smolder, red side, not wanting to give that one over blue 1, now has to consider what red 1-2 want to be, so they don't ban themselves, as Shieda's set eats a ban in game 1.
Yeah, and there it is. We knew what that final ban is. Rev, taking a look at this, there's so many extra picks on the board. Belfast Storm as well. As Verzik have so many options to pick from. The Karma seemed pretty straightforward. Verzik, what are they looking at themselves?
well, I think the Varus is still pretty damn OP. You can still flex it into multiple roles or even multiple utilizations for the same team. Do you want something on hit? Do you need something to just poke from afar? Do you want some utility? Yep. It has it all. And we talked about it. I expect it to be in the ban phase, maybe in the place of Brand. But we'll see if there is any answer, because it's heavily favored in most laning phases. You cannot pick the Zeri, that insurance policy that Temporal asked for. So how do you answer this? Do you go blow for blow? Do you try to go for the Kalista and try to flip the early game? And is flipping the early game actually the way to go when you're so evenly matched with your opponent?
Undoubtedly not. Senna is still open, however, has a horrendous matchup into Lethality Varus. Absolutely not a good time in competitive. And so sometimes you get away with it, but oof.
I mean, I am a Senna enthusiast myself. It's my most played pick, and everyone forgets about the secret tech, defensive boots. So I don't know why everyone goes straight into the Swifties, but I think it would be fine there. And also, Solari Senna last season drove me into Diamond 4, so I'd be forever grateful to that. But no, that's the Zeri. There's your insurance policy. Thing is, how many deaths does that insurance cover? Because after like 2 or 3 in the laning phase, at least prior to the 50-minute mark, I think you lose your no-claims bonus.
It might be a case that the Karma will prop it up. We'll have to see. We'll see which way Belfast go with their second bans, because if they start dragging down support, particularly those engage picks, particularly Nautilus and Rel on my mind, that pair up with the Varus to get that lane rolling, would be a bit of an issue. Instead, top laners from both sides. We saw Blue One Gragas out of Ruddy, and while that's not advised at all, taken away here, obnoxious picks in the second phase. We have a bit of a split difference in junglers. We've seen Strangler. This is a carry pick. This is going to be him carrying through on the Graves, not a surprise. Very good 2v2 with the Ahri. Very good threat, presumably, with the thought of a Karma in mid they can attack. How are we going to develop from here? they've got to try and choose support or top. Top with the Graves, difficult situation, has to set up for itself.
Yeah, but maybe the Graves is not the jungler, or is that just a Soren J hover? Because the more I'm thinking about it,
that's a call out to NA right there.
Thing is, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I like Nocturne in this game. Even if the Graves is in the jungle, Nocturne is still pretty strong. He hasn't been really nerfed. Really good with the Ari, really good with the Oak Vars, because you just don't know where that charm, where that chains of corruptions are coming from. But no, you're gonna have the straight Graves carry, who will need to be aware of the early game, because if the Karma is flexed into the mid lane, that means that Vi will always have the priority until level 6, and you might get punished in your early weak state.
Yeah, and taking a look here, this bot side a little bit more front-loaded now with that Braum kind of locked in. The Karma, you were talking about a Temporal. Hey, bring the Karma down, prop up that Zeri, give a little bit more safety buff. This is actually leaning into a very frontwards-facing composition. There is no really backing up. The Karma is going to have to do a lot to shield it up. If that's actually locked in, I was going to be very surprised and almost laughing my butt off, because right now we have that Karma now in the mid lane, the Ornn in the top side, for Shin to try and deal with Shieda's Renekton here. Very, as you said, Rev, very, very simplistic team fight. Get over the hump, make it to mid to late, and battle your way out.
Yeah, it really is. Renekton favored early on, but if he doesn't make it, Ornn, of course, contributes so much. Okay, Rakan into Braum. Braum seen as a bit of a counter to Rakan a little while ago, but he still does have room to maneuver. Definitely Dokkai going for skill expression in game 1. I feel if Verzik win game 1, it's like a break style. They've picked things that you can't really adjust down to ban. The Varus, really the only thing I think any of us would have seen subbed in the first phase. So if you do get away with this, you've got high momentum for game 2. Belfast Storm, late game insurance, big gamble. We'll have to see whether it pays off.
I'm excited. Rev, any final thoughts?
Well, honestly, I'd like to see if Belfast Storm can survive the early game, bar the mid-jungle duo, because they are going to be pushed in on both of the side lanes. That means that most likely they're not going to have priority for grabs, not going to have priority for Drake, and that may lead them into some kind of a disadvantage, because yes, they outscale, they have the own, they have the Pikachu in the bottom lane, but that doesn't mean that the enemy team does not scale into Oblivion as well. With Graves, especially if you rotate into a critical build after second or third item, can one-shot you. The Ari can make so much room for you, and one misstep can be fatal.
It really, really can. And while Temporal goes ahead and chugs down a little bit more water, we are going to send it over to our amazing casters, because they are set for this amazing series as well. We are going to send it over to Injunko as well as Shika to go ahead and cast this game. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, and this is going to be exciting indeed. For both these teams, they have one chance left, one life left to get out of here and probably get a better chance at maybe even going the whole way through, but it starts here. It is going to be Verzik versus Belfast. We've got some interesting drafts. Jika, how are you feeling about these drafts?
I've got some questions, but generally speaking, I think they're solid. I think Belfast are going to struggle to play the game if they don't find a lead on this bye early. But on the flip side, if it goes past 35 minutes with no lead gained by Verzik, it's going to be a hard game. I do prefer Verzik's draft overall. However, only time will tell how the game goes.
That is true. Only time will tell. And we are getting into this rift with some really nice observer camera effect here. My gosh, I feel like I'm watching a movie in the cinemas right now. That's how nice these effects are. And the game will begin. Oh my god, it's so cinematic. I thought for a second we were going to get into the match already, but the camera just kept panning out. And yes, Belfast Storm on the blue side, Verzik's on the red side.
Be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, we're used to seeing Limsey in a much more carry-centric position. So being on this Karma is really going to show us what Limsey can do for this squad, right? The Karma's not necessarily something that's going to draw a lot of attention in these fights, like something like the Azir would. It's not something that's going to be dishing out the same amount of damage as some of the other mages that were up and available. So this really is just kind of a statement of I don't have to be the carry in these games, and I can do things other than just play these control mages, play these burst mages, and look to one-shot people.
I mean, yeah, currently at least it feels like Karma's Q damage, especially when it's like upgraded with that mantra, it just does deal so much damage. Of course, with Malignance, even more damage. Ooh, we do have Tycool warding aggressively here. And one thing that I find kind of interesting is Belfast Storm not banning out the Soren J's Varus, like our analyst mentioned, one of his best champs. And I have a feeling that if they can win this game one, maybe it's like a pretty good statement for just opening up the series. Like, we can give you your best champ and you're still not going to win against us.
Yeah, I think if you're going to leave any champion open, the Soren J Varus is definitely the one to leave. For the sole reason of an AD carry 9 times out of 10, especially something like this Varus, going for that lethality build, as we can tell from runes, is not going to be the thing to 1v9 you the game. Very squishy, very easy to access, doesn't really do much damage to frontline champions, especially into something like this Braum that can just block all of your damage. It could get very, very difficult. So we do get thrown into a
we are hit by a little bit of a pause, yes. But yeah, I mean, you talked about kind of like the condition of the game while of course waiting for the pause, about the 35-minute, like around that timing window.
Yeah.
How easy do you feel like, or how hard could it be for Belfast Storm to kind of, what do you call it? Kind of try to survive this early game as much as possible and try to buy as much time? Like, is it going to be quite difficult, or could it be like, okay, maybe it's doable?
It depends, right? I mean, you've got Renekton in the top lane, who is one of these champions who is known for an innate ability to just win a lane with ease and snowball a game from there. Into the Ornn, it's a... yeah. I mean, Renekton can't really solo kill you, but it's Renekton Graves. You have more than enough damage to cut down this Ornn before he gets the chance to run away. So I think it depends quite heavily on how the top side goes. Of course, the Varus is also going to be a threat. Lethality Varus is a lane dominant pick. It doesn't do as much in the later stages of the game, but it is a very good pick for winning your lane. If you can get Strangler down into this lane, get some resources into them, I think it could be very, very hard for Belfast Storm to, pardon the pun, weather the storm. However, you need Graves to snowball to be able to link up with Ahri properly on spikes in the mid to late stages of the game. Otherwise, it's going to get very difficult to play this mid-jungle 2v2, especially in something like Vi Karma, where the early pressure is really, really strong.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, it seems like top lane is going to be quite a bit of a focus here for Verzik. Strangler quite aggressively invading the top side of the jungle there. I wonder if he's going to try to look for like a gank attempt, maybe even a dive attempt on Shin. This Ornn, of course, pretty tanky, but not super tanky early on. Can definitely get shredded down. We'll see how that works out. In the meantime, Dunlosi is, of course, trying to go more towards the bot side, support his bot laners, help them scale as much as possible. Ooh, Shada is getting quite low, and Shin is looking very aggressively in. Oh, the W and the auto attack, but it's not enough range. But a flash is used from both sides, and Shin actually pushes Shada away.
It was very unfortunate for Shida. Going for the auto trades after the stun lands didn't quite give enough fury to get the heal to survive, so it allowed for that trade of flashes to go through fully. I feel if that heal had gone through, there wouldn't have been a necessity to flash, but it does happen. Interestingly though, from Strangler here, opted to do what was an attempt at vertical jungling to punish the 5 camp from Dunlosi. So while you were a camp behind for a little while, you now have your entire bot side that you can clear quite comfortably. As we saw, Dunlosi walked all the way back to top side to try and find that Gromp that he'd left. Couldn't find it and had to reset on being a camp down. So while Strangler can just clear the rest of his jungle and be relatively happy, it's small leads like that that are going to allow for Verzik to find these early leads that they need. Especially on something like a Graves, that could be the difference maker. That small difference in gold could really make a change in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, well played from their side, of course. It seems like here in mid lane, Limsey is pressuring Tycool quite effectively. That Karma early game poke is pretty crazy. So at least in terms of mid prio, it feels like Belfast Storm should have the advantage. We'll see how that translates into, you know, Void Grubs or like the Dragon spawning relatively soon.
Yeah, I would. My imagination says Grubs are gonna be taken by one side and Drake will be taken by the other. As we see Donlosi already opting to try and get first Drake under the belt, and with the pressure that Verzik have in top side, looks like Strangler just gonna try and take the Grubs would be my guess based on positioning currently.
No, yeah. Seems like this dragon will be taken down by Belfast. Verzik's not really kind of thinking about that at all. They do know that they can answer back on top lane, like you mentioned. Strangler taking the Void Grubs. And the rotation timing on Sorenjay and Dokai, they were kind of coming back. So it wasn't going to be their timing anyways to try to like contest this Drake in any how-so situation. So yeah, that's just going to be Dragon, Ocean Drake. Oh, yes. Tycool trying to get a charm into Limsey. He has one more charge of his ultimate, and he has to use it to get away. He is ignited, but I don't think he's going to go down. Neither will Limsey, so 2 ignites used. Both mid laners surviving with just a sliver of HP.
And now Timur and Dunlosi are the ones on the top side with control to be able to start these Grubs up. One went over to Verzik, so it's not the end of the world if you lose the next 2. It just means you cannot get that Void Touch buff, which, not the Void Touch buff, the spawning buff, which I forget the name of off the top of my head, to get that little bit of extra pushing power from those Void Mites. However, we'll have to see what Dunlosi opts to do.
Yeah, indeed. This game, I mean, there has been quite a bit of action, but no kills yet. It seems quite closely matched, like, you know, our analysts have mentioned. But of course, the game going close, you know, it almost is perhaps like a favor for Belfast Storm because they do have timing on their side. So we'll see if Verzik can get anything back themselves, like get themselves in a nice early lead to start controlling the map and controlling the pace of the game. It seems like Dunlosi will take the other 2 Void Grubs like you mentioned, so that'll be Belfast Storm with 2 Void Grubs and Verzik with just 1.
But this is a good read from Strangler. You know the enemy jungler is going for Grubs, so look for an angle to invade, look for an angle to counter jungle. You can't walk into their top side without being spotted, so go down for these Krugs. Tycool was initially shadowing them as they walked in, and now they've got Dokai with them as well, so their back can't be stopped. Very, very good decision making and reading of enemy jungler coming through from Verzik here to allow for these types of invades to go down without punishment.
No, I mean, it's pretty tense, honestly. Like, both teams are kind of sparring each other quite effectively, taking as much as they can, leaving almost nothing behind, just trying their best to keep the game level as possible. We have Dokai and Strangler here looking for an angle. The ultimate is used by Tycool. Flash, boom, goes in W, charm, everything lands. First blood for Strangler, and there it is, the first kill of the series.
And it's a massive point to get that first blood onto your graves at this point. Already far ahead from the counter jungling. Dunlosi's going to walk into this bot side, realize the only thing that they've got up is their red buff, and start the question what happened. Or reset, that works too. Looked clear top, bot to top. But as we see, the only thing available to them is this red buff. Timers are a bit too long. Meanwhile, you look at Strangler, got the entirety of his jungle to go through clearing now, and just picked up first blood as well. I'd be interested to see just how much gold he's got, but as we see, a good bait out from Tycool allows for Dokai to get in, get the knockup,
Oh,
kill.
whoa.
Wait, what?
My god, that's incredible. Wait, that's the Ornn getting the solo kill.
Or in the tank mage, assassin, bruiser, etc., meme.
Oh, but let's see if he can also be a runaway, man. He has to run away from Strangler. He is slowed by this red buff. He uses his dash. He's really tanky, actually. I don't actually know if Strangler has what it takes. And Strangler just has to back off, so Shin gets a solo kill and gets out with his life.
I'm not sure how that was played, but I would assume very well from Shin to find the lead in that situation. But Strangler sat on... Yeah, Strangler just backed him full bought Yumus. That was sat on about 2,000 gold for about 5 minutes there, I would say. Only had a longsword during that fight. So now this Grave's really scary. Dunlosi now looking for the counter jungle, but Tycool smells a rat. We see. Let's have a look at what happened on this top side.
Yeah. I mean, this is super cool. Oh, he flashes in, calls in the ultimate, and does the Tekken combo over there. In the meantime, we have another fight here with 2 people knocked up. Verzik's getting 2 early kills, and Sorenjay getting quite low. But Momo's getting kind of kited out, and Sorenjay, protected by his teammates, gets out of there alive, and Strangler gets a double kill for himself. This Graves now is 3-0-1.
That's 3 kills for none. Nobody falls and all you got out the back of it was a red buff. Meanwhile, Shida and Shin still bashing each other's faces in on the top side of Shida.
Okay, ultimate used by Shida. He does heal quite a lot, and this duel is quite close. Shin, he doesn't have a lot of tools to fight this 1v1.
Wait.
And he actually, Shida's gonna get the revenge kill with... Oh my god, in that tower, he's gonna get so many plates.
Okay, Dominus OP, please nerf. Well played, Shida. This top lane is more explosive than I was ever going to give it credit for, apparently. Solo bolo both ways, as well as 3 kills, 2 onto Strangler and 1 onto Soren J on the bot side as well. Dragon to boot for Verzik done low. See, don't dash in there without vision, friend.
Oh
Okay.
no! He gets charmed, he gets knocked up, and Strangler is now on a rampage. 4-0 Disgrace is absolutely rich.
And Verzik have found the lead they so needed. 6-1, 3,000 gold lead. It's going to be very hard for Belfast to scale it into the game, but it's possible. Every death increases the timer a little bit. But if you can hit that timer, if you can get to a point where your Zeri is really, truly online, you have so many peel tools coming through. This is going to be very, very interesting to see how this game plays out.
Yeah, I mean, Zeri, you know, did die once, but still is quite healthy. Got a nice bit of chunky CS. Like, he is doing pretty fine, but of course, they need time. They need as much time as possible. It seems like Belfast Storm will go for these Void Grubs. Not really going to be challenged at all there, so that's pretty nice for them. Is going to stop the pushing power from Verzik, but in the meantime, we have Strangler, who is just kind of strolling around this bot lane here, looking for an angle. They could go for a dive if they so please, because both Soren J and Dokai Strangler, all 3 of them are pretty strong. And now with Tycho joining in the mix, okay, he started backing off. I guess they decided not to go for it in the end. But that would have been a pretty devastating 4v2 gank attempt.
That would have been something. I mean, you had the quickness, you had Chain of Corruption, you had the Spirit Rush, everything was up and available. The dive was there, but into Braum it's very hard. That if you can't bait the Unbreakable beforehand, there's no real easy way to take that dive, and Tycho was caught on a pink walking down. However, interestingly enough, I can understand Verzik's opt to give over the Void Grubs there. And call me crazy, but how do Belfast realistically make use of it, considering how short range their comp is?
I guess they're going to have to hit that 35-minute timing like you mentioned, Jikia, and win a fight. I guess that's when they get to utilize it, like, actually properly.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to play chip away at these towers. Your Zeri, very short range. Your Karma, very short range. You're sitting with 3 other melees. You're outranged by almost everybody on the side of Verzik. It'll be very, very dangerous to step anywhere close to a tower without just getting your health bar blown sky high. So it looks like Belfast looking to do something bot side.
Yeah, Dokai almost got caught himself, but of course, being Rakan, he's quite slippery. Yeah, I see the point you mentioned. Maybe the bigger benefit is kind of the fact that they were able to deny from Verzik, because you could imagine, like, on the off chance, ooh, okay, Momo getting caught out, gets charmed. The ultimate comes out for Soren J, which hits the Braum, and I feel like Braum, he kind of had to, okay, flash, but the flash really didn't work out, so Tycho now just completely surrounding every member of Belfast Storm with 2 stacks still left on the Ahri ultimate. My god, this Ahri is absolutely fed. And just like that, Verzik's getting even more of a lead. And oh no, Momo can't go base. He's completely trapped here like a fish in a barrel. Gets charmed, gets hit. Tycho with another kill there. And oh, Dunlosi, wait, he's still kind of sticking around. I'm not really sure he should be doing that at all. Yeah. The charm does miss, which allows him to get away alive.
Very, very good collapse from Verzik there. They see the angle and they take it with force. Another 3 kills going across to the side of Verzik now. Of course, I think 2 of them going on to Tycool and another 1 getting picked up by Strangler. Really allowing them to start ballooning this lead they've got.
Oh yeah, indeed. I mean, that lead is about 4,000 gold. I mean, Strangler 5-0-3, Tycool 2 kills, Soren J obviously 1 kill, but still pretty healthy, pretty feeling good about himself as well. But this Graves especially is just an absolute beast, and I feel like if you're Belfast Storm, you've got to be so careful wherever you try to go. Anywhere that's not a lane, like if you get caught by Strangler, you might just go down really quick.
Okay, Strangler. Up, jumps in, starts the Herald, gets caught as there's a fight bot side.
Oh man, that charm on Momo was pretty darn devastating. Soren J getting that kill. Shada flashing in, trying to get the stun on Timur. Timur, so sorry, my voice got there, cracked a bit there, but oh man, Tycool. It really isn't too much to commentate. I mean, Verzik is just dominating every single skirmish and every fight that they can get their hands on because they're just rotating really quick and all of their power spikes are at the correct timing right now.
The storm looking more like a little light rainfall at the moment. Pitter-pattering away on the heads of Verzik. They're in a very good spot right now. First tower did fall bot lane. However, Verzik are just able to pressure and dominate constantly. Belfast, you may have got the first tower, but you cannot step up past your vision line because there are 4 members waiting for you around any given corner.
No, I mean, this game right now is pretty dire for Belfast Storm. 16 minutes in with that tower taken as well. Now we're looking at about 6k gold lead. Tycool is perhaps getting caught by 2 people, but not really. He's fine. In the meantime, though, Shada is getting ultimated by 2 people. Oh, but wait a second. Why does he deal so much damage? The flash has to be used by Delosi just to try to survive this attempt. Oh, Shada. Oh! He almost got to run away, but Shin gets that last auto attack, which helps out. But of course, in the meantime, there are answers from Verzik. Strangler gets the dragon. And yeah, no, that's just the second dragon off of Verzik. They're pushing in mid here.
Wait.
Not really too
Soren
much
J died.
Belfast can do. Oh, my. Yeah. Strangler, it's godlike now. Yes, and Soren J died. Thank you for mentioning that. But yeah, no, Strangler 7-0-4 now.
Did Soren J get 1v1'd by Limsey?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, because he kills on Limsey. Yeah, I think that's the
Karma
case.
Gaming.
Oh, wait,
TP out. There's no way to cancel.
TP out. Yeah, Grace doesn't have a necessary CC to stop him at all. That's so funny.
The BM TP.
Oh, I'm so glad that worked out for them. But, you know, still, gold lead is pretty good for Verzik. 3 to 13
oh,
kills.
No.
Yes, we get to see the replay here. Soren J just kind of walked in and he's just like minding his own
what?
business. But then comes the karma. My god, the malignance damage is absolutely crazy. And Limsey just gets like the easiest 1v1 kill of her life.
Gutted, by the way. Karma was gutted.
Well, not enough apparently.
Huh. Yeah, I feel bad for... I can relate to Soren J there. As an AD carry main who has taken 1 too many karma cues to the face, I can relate. Sweet.
Oh, man.
Dark. Herald is still up. So, Strangler did go to starter earlier, got caught on Scryers and decided to do a bait. See if they could force Belfast Storm towards the top side to fight. It is 2 dragons to 1. We are on a Hextech Rift, which could be very scary if Verzik get, because the poke coming out from Soren J and Tycool will just double in terms of its effectivity, as Herald is going to be started by Verzik. I quite like this. They have full control. They have a big enough lead to where they don't have to be super scared. They don't necessarily have vision of every single member from Belfast, but they don't need it, because they know that if they get face checked, they are able to take the fight on their terms without much trouble.
Oh yeah, and Verzik was able to get this Herald. I mean, already in such a lead, now this Herald can absolutely break open the map. If they win like 1 or 2 skirmishes, they could definitely just like put it down mid lane and stuff like that, and it would just be such a pressure. But oh no, Shin is caught between like 2 people and another person coming in here. Dokai, just too much CC. There's just not really much that Anoran can do here, unfortunately. And Shin gets his 8th kill, legendary. My god, this Graves is so fed he could open up a bank if he wanted to.
This Graves is living up to his namesake, sending people to the grave time after time after time. 14 kills in the game. Strangler has been a part of 12 of said kills. And Rakan also 12 of said kills. Dokai and Strangler have linked up so well as a jungle support duo this game. It is allowing Verzik to control every aspect they so please. Tycool as well has just been everywhere. Verzik are playing this.
Oh, yeah.
They're playing their hand. They're playing the perfect clinical game of League of Legends. They are slowly but surely choking Belfast Storm out of any resources.
Yeah, I mean, what an opening statement for Game 1 of this series. It really is going to put Belfast Storm in the back foot if it turns out that they win this game, which currently it's looking very likely. I mean, 7k gold lead, only 20 minutes in. Momo has an item, sure, but still quite far away from that power spike we're looking into Zeri. And at this point, it's looking more like 35 to like 40-minute timing window with just how far behind everyone in Belfast Storm is. Like, they really need to find some kind of solution, I feel like.
If we just take a look at the gold difference, there is a 4,000 gold lead in the jungle, about 1,000 gold lead in mid, a 1,000 gold lead in AD carry. It's really, really making life hard. I believe it's about a 7,000 gold lead total at this point for Verzik, which it's painful. Zeri needs to hit this third item. It doesn't matter whether it's the Navori or if it's the Infinity Edge, but you need to hit that third item, then your ult is going to start really shredding through people. Assuming you don't get CC locked, you can play these fights, but you have to get Momo to this third item and allow them the space to play the game.
Well, they're going to need to answer sooner or later because this third dragon is here, and obviously Belfast Storm can elect not to take it because it's not the soul, it's just soul point. But that also means that giving them soul point, from then on, they have to probably contest every single dragon because it is that Ocean Soul, which is going to be extremely beneficial for Verzik if they get it. Basically, all poke from Limsey, and from Limsey will be moot at that point. But it seems like Belfast Storm wants to posture aggressively here. They want to make something happen because the red dragon has already been taken, but oh man, this fight is just not going their way at all. Shada is getting kind of low, but of course, I mean, it's just too tanky, just too many items. Sorenjay and Strangler just absolutely legendary with that ultimate. And Tycho now gets that charm in, a double kill for Strangler. Can he get a triple? Nah, he doesn't get that triple, but Tycho is absolutely unstoppable. And this fight, once again, like the past 5 or 6 fights we've seen, is an absolute domination for the side of Verzik, and this is just going to give them the Baron now.
That is Baron, Soul Point, and 4 kills to boot. Limsey, the only person escaping with their life, and even then had to expend the flash to live. The damage was looking so good, and it just wasn't enough. As Sheeta's just playing with Limsey at this point, you have to feel. But Limsey, I think Sheeta probably dies,
yeah,
I was going to say.
I mean, he gets out, no problem at all. Meantime, of course, Verzik gets Baron for all 5 members. They can just back off. They are all absolutely filthy rich right now. I mean, 4th items, 3rd items coming in everywhere, left, right, and center for Verzik. This is a team that's absolutely online, and Belfast Storm, they need to scramble for something. Here's the replay of that fight.
And we can see Strangler. Strangler is on vision doing this dragon, but Dokai manages to find the perfect engage to just allow Tycool and Shida to run the back line. Dunlosi tries to get in the pit, tries to get the steal, can't quite find it, but also can't fight Strangler because of Dokai being that. And then Dunlosi gets caught by the charm, allowing for the burst from Sorenjay and Strangler to come through. Tycool is playing these fights to perfection. I mean, all of the charms are landing on meaningful targets and allowing Strangler and Sorenjay the space and necessary damage to be able to play the game. I feel like we are hyping Strangler up a lot, and he definitely deserves it, right? Doing so well in this game. But Tycool, with some of these charms, has been above and beyond what would be expected of a general Ahri player.
Oh yeah, I mean, indeed. I don't think it's a question at all that both Strangler and Tycool are playing out of their minds right now. And this is such a good game 1 to open up the series with because they are making it hurt against Belfast Storm. Like, Belfast Storm right now can't even, like, you know, they can't even lift a finger of just how much they are getting dominated this game. And it's going to take quite a bit of mental reset to come back from this, I feel like. It's such a, like, morally demoralizing way of losing, but they are getting a pick into Strangler. That's a 1,000 gold shutdown. That's exactly what they needed to maybe start something. And no answer back from Verzik. Of course, we have Shada pushing top, but what can Belfast Storm do else? I mean, you know, they got that 1,000 gold shutdown. That's great, but they still need so much more to even have a chance to come back to this game.
Unfortunately, that shutdown did go across to Dunlosi, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not on one of these big carries that you would prefer it on. It's still 1,000 gold into the back pocket of a Vi. That's now 2 items completed. Full item behind Strangler still, and a 450 gold shutdown still on this Graves' head. But it's something, and running with something is better than nothing. That does bring a little bit of gold back. However, we are still sitting on a 10,000 gold lead in favor of Verzik, and it is at this point where we normally say the game is a little bit hard to win. The game is probably all she wrote. But we've seen teams come back from this before. And I think if any team's going to do it, it's Belfast with a draft like this. This is their comfort zone. The 25-minute scale, then we come online and really start to exist. This Zeri, oh so close to that Navori now. And once you hit that 3rd item on this AD carry, the game can get blown completely out of the water.
Yeah, it is looking really tough, and it's going to look even tougher because I was very, very wrong. I thought it was the Ocean Drake because I was looking at the top left corner of the screen, but seeing the Hex Gates, it was very obviously the Hex Dragon, and obviously the Hextech Soul is absolutely devastating. You do not want to have to face that at all. And in about 40 seconds, Belfast Storm, with whatever they have here right now, 1, 2 items on their, their carries, whatever, they're just going to have to fight. I mean, I don't think they can give this up.
You absolutely can't give this up. It gives Tycool and Soren J so much agency with these long-range poke tools. The piercing arrows, the orbs of deception, the foxfire. It just makes it so hard to play because of the slow on top of it. It sets you up to be caught in a fight at the perfect moment.
Oh man, they are sitting on a ward. Oh man, the charm comes
wow.
in. My god, what is that damage? Is that even legal? I don't know. I think we have to check if it's even legal to deal that much damage. And of course, Shin is called out. Just everybody's getting charmed and called out. We thought this might be a valiant last stand effort, but it's too little too late because Verzik's all the members are just way too strong. They don't even need a whole team to take out this dragon. They can just have Strangler himself and everybody else can just push mid lane.
Timur, you might be a tank, but sitting on just the Knight's Vow, hasn't got a lot of health or resistance to their name. Just gets absolutely blown up. And then Shin, fared a little bit better. It bought enough time for Momo and Donlosi to run for the hills. But it just still ended up getting shredded after a point. 4 items now on this Graves, 3 items on this Varus. And Strangler's behind everybody.
Oh my god. He was just able to 1v3 face tank and almost kill Momo. And wait, Shada's just here kind of waiting for his moment to go into Momo. Oh, okay. He doesn't get the dice part of the slice and dice, so he's not able to chase Drew all the way. But now Momo just had to back off from that situation too. And you can really tell with this Hextech Soul just how hard it is for Belfast Storm to do anything. I mean, it's kind of an OP soul, let's be honest.
It is the best soul in the game, and it has been since its release. Honestly, Hextech Soul is an absolutely insane Drake to try and play around because the slow, the chain damage. If Zeri gets it, it's hilarious because it combos with her ult so well. But it wasn't Zeri that got it. It was these long-range poke champions that just allow for so much lockdown. It sets up Dokai, it sets up Shida so well to catch people out with their skill shots, with that grind entrance, with the slice into stun. It's so hard to play, and you can see Timur's health, it just doesn't exist.
Oh no, gets hit by the ultimate as well. He's getting chunked down. Oh, we thought he was going to be able to run away, but Strangler gets the last laugh. Okay, this is kind of a interesting duel here. Shin does have more HP than Shada. But we'll see how that goes. Oh, man. But, just everywhere else is all just Verzik. The Baron's up and everybody's just running away as much as they can. There's no chance for them to get anything done. Yeah, with this Baron, Zika, okay, honestly, if you're Belfast Storm, I think you're thinking about next game a lot more than this current game. What do you do to try to get out of this situation? Like, is it a draft that needs to change? Is it like the player mentality? Is it having to respect the players more?
You need an early game bridge champion. There was no real champion that can carry your game through to the late game. So you had to concede every objective fight. You had to concede every dive, every lane fight, every gank opportunity. There isn't much you can really do with so many scaling picks. Sure, your mid jungle is a very good early duo, but there's nobody that's really going to be able to get you through as in the standard sense. When we think bridges, we think Olaf. You know, we think champions that can get a lead and snowball the game through. Vi isn't really one of them. Karma isn't really one of them. You need something that can at least get you through to the mid game to allow your scaling AD carry to come online. So if this is the draft identity that Belfast Storm want to stick with, they're going to have to change up what's happening in their solo lanes to allow for that to happen.
It is going to be tough, but you know, that's why it's the best out of 3, right? They still have one more chance to come back, even though this one is going absolutely not their way, and it's a tough loss. They still have one more chance to make it through. You know, presuming that they lose, of course. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not going to say they're going to lose, but it's very, very close to getting to that point for sure. Heiko gets caught out, uses the ultimate, but gets hit by the Vi ult, but I mean, it's just too much protection, just too much damage, too much clapback coming up from the side of Verzik, and just everybody is just absolute monsters and beasts on the side of Verzik. And this game 1, they will take very dominantly, and they will be a single win away from winning this series and going on to the next stage of the lower bracket run.
Belfast Storm, more like a light breeze on a summer's day for Verzik. There's just no damage to deal with them. Their health bars, they catch Tycool, and still no deaths in this final fight. There is too much health, there is too little damage, and there is too little time to save the game. Verzik, I mean, the demons are here to play. They're here to dance around the fire and ignite in the throes of the lower bracket run. They've made the miracle run before. They're looking to do it again. And they're doing such a good job of it. They played that game out so well that Belfast Storm didn't have a room to move. Strangler really living up to his namesake. After that lead came in, it felt impossible for Belfast Storm to find a way back. They played into his hand at every single turn.
No, I mean, I am super impressed with Verzik, and I think what's kind of crazy is, I think we were both kind of expecting like a much more messier series, kind of thinking the two most lower team in this bracket run so far, but Verzik, I can't really think of like a huge major mistake they made. I feel like they played extremely clean. It was very, very just well executed from start to finish. They were all playing well together. They were all rotating around the map very well. You know, they were leveraging their item leads, their like champion spikes super well. So I mean, we're just gonna have to see like what Belfast Storm can do to get back, because of course I want a climatic game 3, so we'll see how that goes. But for this game, we will leave it to the analysts to analyze the rest of it. Bring it to the desk.
And we are here with, after that game, which is one that we saw a very dominant Verzik with a very select few that we expected to stand out. Strangler 14-1-9, Tykel 5-0-16, Sorenjay 5-1-12. Like, these are scores that are disgusting in their own right. And then rounding out is Shieda. Love you, Shieda, but that scoreline does not match with the rest of the team.
No, like, top lane was on its island,
Yeah.
so 6 out of a lot kill participation, and support 0, 0, and 24. Perfect, absolutely perfect setup.
Yeah, I'm sure it felt good, and I mean, this is what we were hoping for when we saw this kind of composition come out here. Rev, Temporal, we'll start with you, Rev. I mean, this is one that we kind of sat there and we're scratching our heads like, we really hope this doesn't go past a certain time frame. It was on that clock once again.
Yeah, it was on that clock, and it started quite slowly. Everyone was taking their sweet time. We were discussing in the green room that what's the Graves doing? Why is he not by? He went at some point 10 minutes into the game to fight Ornn with just a longsword, and I was like, my brother, you cannot do that. You will not deal any damage forever. And then suddenly a fight ensues, and it's a snowball starts forming, and it's snowing out of everywhere.
The snowball happened a lot quicker than we thought, at least. I was expecting, the 15 minutes, just wait and see, and then pray to God that they get something off. I don't think we have the replay up just yet, but at Temporal, there are a few points that you were talking about that it felt. We do have the replay. This is one that you pointed out that I think was very important to see. This is when we, I guess this is right afterwards. Yep. This is almost that,
No, this is okay.
Right?
This is
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
So we see Strangler trying to use some tempo, getting up on the grubs, didn't make it in time for the dragon. And at this point in the green room, we're already like, Belfast are doing alright. Verzik should have pulled some triggers by now. There are a few missed opportunities. But Strangler gets in, gets Limsy's flash. Tykel survives. Now, in my mind, that's not enough for a spike that pulled your jungler away from a grub at 100 health that he could have finished off from the rest of them, and didn't get a concrete advantage. However, what it did do was take Limsy's flash, and then the mid-jungle duo made sure to return and abuse that time and time again.
The mid-jungle support duo, I may add, because I saw the Rakan. Yeah, they're all big company. The thing is, like, I saw the Rakan finding so many windows to just throw him up to that mid lane, make sure to make use of every Spirit Rush available, to jump with his Battle Dance, make sure that his Grand Henderson's landed, then the charm will follow, and it was just easy peasy lemon squeezy for the side of Verzik to keep doing and abuse Limsy.
It was a moment that we saw kind of all those gears that we watch spin start to get into motion, and then it was almost accelerated by the oil that Belfast actually dropped into those said gears, right? There was actually a fight at about 9 minutes or 9.5 minutes, I think, later on. Rev, we were mentioning, like, this felt Belfast almost played into the hands of Verzik.
They did. They used their big go button, which is the Vi ultimate, and they did it in 2 or 3 times in the game where, what are your spikes? What are you fighting for? Do you want to get to Gromp afterwards? Do you need to commit to that play, or do you feel that you are just stronger and you can Armstrong your enemy into submission? Because there was none of that. There was no actual item spike from the Zeri. Your Vi, okay, it's a Vi, but Limsy has been suffering in the mid lane, so why would you commit in that spot? And all those questions were never answered, and all those questions let Verzik run rampant from this point onwards.
It was a painful one to see, and it just kept going, and we talked about it. That was basically the starting point, and it ended with some unfortunate and very fortunate situations depending on which team you were really looking at, right? Verzik continued to get kills. We saw the likes of this jungle and mid duo kind of pop off, and eventually it culminated in situations where it felt Belfast didn't have a choice but to almost walk in blind in some of the scenarios. I think we had a replay ready at 27 minutes or so into the game Temporal, where we also saw some cheeky vision plays a little bit, which were a little bit silly.
Yeah, Strangler spotted out, Doko spotted out. However, surprise from the bush, it's Tykel just away behind his own control ward. Excellent setup. And this is the Dragon Soul. The Belfast felt they had to walk towards the pressure applied from Verzik, stacking 3 of those quickly after Belfast themselves got it started. So not enough time bought by allocating Dunlozy down into the Dragon, and a real shame, because Belfast, they had a few solo kills, there were a few moments of flair, but it didn't come together in this game.
And next time we do hope it does, because for what it was worth, Verzik, we saw, a 3 to 4K lead. For how far they got ahead at the beginning, we were saying it's just they ended a little bit slower than I think we would have liked. They still ended at an appropriate time, let's not get it wrong, but with the lead, with the champions, and with their movements, we did expect them to finish closer to about 27, 28 minutes. And I want to get an idea here, Temporal, is this something that maybe they just wanted to be a little bit more safe, and maybe Rev can fill in later on, but was this more because Belfast was strong, or was it Verzik playing it a little bit too safe, and, they felt they had enough wiggle room to do so?
I think the jitters in the first 5 minutes of where to assign graves and then coming together of a mid maybe a wave or two later than I would have liked, committing to the grubs because you got to get the grubs, and it's like, well, you're going to trap mid and pull graves around, you can do that anyway. So there was a bit of slowness there, and then when it came to Baron waves, didn't quite get through the infrastructure until Belfast threw themselves at Verzik. There was a few extra steps there. There's your few missing minutes, unless you saw even more, Rev.
Well, the only thing that 2 things actually I could add is that first of all, Strangler was caught as a Strangler once in the midwave, which I said immediately there.
Yeah.
That's an extra 2 to 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and it was indeed an extra 3 minutes. And the other part is that they were a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger and dive onto the enemy tower. So they were extremely ahead. Normally, they could be, as Orbital very nicely called them, wallet warriors, because they had the wallet thieves. It was heavy as a flipper thrown from your mom when she finds you with that Nintendo DS at 12 a.m. Thing is that they never pull that trigger. They always try to split them up a little bit, and they were waiting for the enemy's mistake, which in this case was fine. But when you are being outscaled, you shouldn't give so much space to the enemy. I feel like it was a little bit of a confidence error, and they should believe in themselves a little bit more.
I would just like to point out, I was one of those kids. Unfortunately, I felt the flipper and slipper on the back of my head one too many times. Taking a look at this upcoming game, though, I think, as you said, confidence for Verzik, but for Belfast, more than just confidence, we need to see a little bit of a shakeup. In a vacuum, the composition I think they built, we understood what they wanted to do. We understand the pieces that they needed to do. It's not going to work against Verzik, or you just need to pick your fights a little bit better. Starting with you, Rev, I want to get an idea for game number 2. Do we see a run back of the composition? Do we see the same style built? Or do we see a shakeup saying, okay, if we're going to make some of those early game plays, we need a different draft to compensate for that?
Well, I think you can go for something similar, just find something that spikes earlier. You wanna fight early. It's understandable. My biggest pet peeve as a player is when you can win by doing nothing, because I hate that. I need to chase that good feeling, that serotonin, that action. So find something to pick for that action. Is that you can pick the Ari for yourself, because it spikes really hard on the 1.5 item. You can fight on the 2nd, 3rd Drake always and try to slap enemies around. That's fine. Do you want to have a carry jungler? Maybe not divide. Find something a little bit more carry oriented with the Karma, like the Xin Zhao, who will just run into the enemy team and Talon strike them into oblivion. Just find something more, something that spikes early, so you can go into those calls, because they went in as a team. There was no communication mishap there. Just have something that can support you in that playstyle.
I love that you mentioned the Xin Zhao. Dunlozy historically had great results on the champion. I think going faster than Verzik and not allowing them to do what they've done in most regular season games, which is what Belfast were trying to achieve here, and go late, split push, have that sideline. It's clear Verzik have prepared like a decent crush, go fast strategy here. That means Belfast is screwed if they go not fast enough. And screwed if they go for late. So it just needs to be swift, it needs to be energetic. It's not been their style before. I think they should be able to adapt something here.
And in that adaptation, I mean, the idea that maybe they swap it up as well in terms of the side selection, right? They were on blue side to start off this series, and I'm not, I'm again, my brain does not exactly want to work about exactly how that first game does get decided, but in this next coming one, I do believe they get side selection. So Temporal, in that same vein, are we looking at the same blue side, Belfast Storm? I mean, do they want to do that, or do they want to look at the counter pick options that red side does afford?
Definitely red for me. I think they have shown Shin getting solo kills inside. That negates the Shieda go deep, go wide composition, where the set is going to be pummeling away at towers all game, or similar split pusher. Probably giving Shin R5 to enable that and then win condition it. On red side, you do also get the defended R4 pick. You know, you drop 2 bans in, you should get the mid laner of choice there without its worst matchup. Maybe something like the Xin Zhao earlier on allows that to be a functioning 2v2.
Rev, what about you?
Well, it's not fair. I've been spoiled. I know the side selection. So I'm not gonna be honest, like it's not a prediction, it is the red side. And it makes sense because if it was a best of 5, you have a little bit more wiggle room. You can be like, okay, this didn't work, we know our mistakes, let's try and dual soul to run back. But now you have no more room to wiggle. You are backs against the wall, so you need to try and flip the game around. And flipping the sides is the easiest way to try and do that.
Oh, okay. Well, we just got confirmation. I do not see in the future, but my my analysts here do. We have gotten confirmation that it is red side. Hey, let's go ahead and hop on that train. So let's go ahead and talk about where we want to see one of those major counter picks come down. Because let's be honest, Verzik had pretty much won every single lane. It felt like, right? After that fight with Belfast in the jungle, it felt like Verzik pretty much had everything on lock. If we are to see counter picks somewhere, where do we invest maybe that R5 pickup? Because that's what everyone wants to know, right? If you pick up red side, it's like that R5 has to be that glue. I think our casters also mentioned like we want to see more glue to come out. We want to see something that can really bring the composition together. Depending on where they send it, which lane do we hope to see that counter come through? And if it is, how powerful are we expecting it to be? Weird question, but I always like to get those thoughts. Temporal, we'll see if we can start with you.
Still sticking to the answer before our new side selection. R5 top, Bloodshed. Shieda was pressed upon heavily. And I think even if it doesn't win out, it sends Strangler up there, whereas Strangler was able to play his own game and do largely what he wanted in game 1. And I want to see him forced to respond to topside, give Belfast either that winning topside or the ability to outnumber elsewhere on the map, specifically bot lane.
All right. I like that. Rev, any thoughts?
Well, I think top lane is a safe choice. We saw already how blood in the matchup can get between a Norm and a Renekton for some reason. I don't know how that happened, but it did happen.
That's how we do it.
And
That's how we do it.
Especially when you've shown that you can beat Shida in that 1v1, you can create a pressure point. Apart from that, maybe the support, because yes, it could be like a skill matchup between the Braum and the Rakan, but if you something that can pressure a little bit more, then it could have swing the other way.
All right, well, there you go. Some adjustments already being made. Huge props thrown over to Strangler's way, saying, "Yo, that was a big problem." Same bans though for Verzik's side. I mean, I think it's very understandable. Surprisingly though, it is the Smolder ban to come out here, and I always feel, at least over on my side of the pool, it is a red side ban primarily. The fact that Verzik are saying, "Yo, we just got to take that one away." And now the Udyr to come out here, I feel like we know what these last two are going to be. Yep, well, on blue side at least, that's a fun one. Temporal is just in a world of pain right now.
What am I watching? The Graves wasn't the problem. You know, that's not... Oh, Brand's through. He's going to play Brand. Oh, okay, right. Probably a different carry jungler, of which there are many. We highlighted the Nocturne. The Brand was banned last game in last draft. It's a bit odd to me that Verzik threw the Volibear away there. I think that was an easy blue one that doesn't afford anything extra over. Instead, favoring the Karma. Interesting.
This was one as well that Lindsay got punished for. I would say pretty in a standard vein, and actually
Hold up.
Please do this.
Hold
Please
up.
do it. I
Salty
want to
runner.
see it. Do it. I lovingly refer to this, like you said, temporal, the salty run back, or just the glove to the face, right? This is what I call the glove to the face. It's an old style of you beat me, now I'm gonna beat you, and it's just like a very
Your
ego
draft was
kinda
much
centric,
better, and now I want to play it.
kind of, but it's just like it is Limsy kind of hearing the gauntlet thrown down, right? This karma flex may or may not go to Tycool, and you still opt for that.
It's better
but-
than Jin Zhao. I'm not
Yeah.
too upset.
It's better right now, especially with the R8. It's a combo we saw so many times last year, and it can pressure so much with on the level 6. So I'm kind of hearing it, because I said before, you want to keep the same playstyle, change the champions, and change the champion they did. Thing is, there's the Karma's Jin Zhao, and that could actually slap you back on that level 6, because if you do not have the greatest communication, don't have the greatest target selection, that Jin Zhao ultimate can split your team fight in 2 pieces, and those 2 pieces will never deal enough damage.
I mean, this Ezreal hover into what could be a Jhin coming out here. So decent range once again, saying, hey, I'm going to stay very far away from the fights. But this does allow a very nice gap, right, for the Karma to kind of bridge between, if you wish. The Xin Zhao is going to have a lot of free reign in the front. Jhin in the backside pumping out the damage. Force shot always hits like a truck. For Belfast, I'm very interested what they do plan to kind of lock in here. You could match that bot side pick, but instead they are blind picking their top, and this goes, I want to say, pretty interestingly here, right? We mentioned that Belfast Storm. We were like, oh, okay, where do you want to throw that R5 pickup? Instead of the top lane counter matchup, it's that blind.
Jack's pretty powerful in the current meta, don't get me wrong. This has to be followed with 2 top bans from Belfast, but on the same time, they need to ban Maokai. This is the easiest Maokai lock-in of my life. If I am Verzik, I think it is completely free. Saplings to set up the Jhin, deep setup, and then the all-in ultimate just to get them over the line. Verzik are a little low on damage output if Jax gets going especially. And we'll keep that in the back of our minds. There are lots of options in their second phase here as they consider what to do. The Gragas going missing, not crazy. This Jax can't be nullified, it has to take off.
Yeah, I think that the Gwen should be taken away, because it's one of those options who can also ignore the Jax and run into the enemy backline, or even play a little bit of a peeling role with the needlework, slowing down the enemy team, making sure that they will never catch up to the Jhin. So I feel like this should be the takeaway. But no, it's the Aatrox. It's still a skill matchup. Still, Jax can smash lane and then be a nuisance in the side lane or in the team fights. Don't get me wrong. I'm just feeling like it's a really easy option for Verzik to ump the damage numbers, especially on the AP side.
It still leaves open that one that you were talking about, Temporal, right? That Maokai could be just insta picked up here. The Zeri going to be banned, so heavy respect handed to this bottom side. Of course, there's not many other options to go for.
Yeah, the center ban, I think, essential. Farming center on this patch is, I believe, her nerfs are already being tested on PB, reverting her souls on the farming form. It absolutely eviscerates Jhin. If you have a Jhin lock-in in solo queue, do just have some fun with them. It is completely unplayable. And I think the idea of Senna getting through is a bit weird. I maybe would have liked to have seen Belfast do it on B3. And you don't need to defend it because the Jhin is in and can only play certain setups. The Aphelios instead, that late game insurance. Momo does best when like commanding and coming over these team fights. Aphelios, just like the Zeri of last game, takes a long time to get going. This is seems to be another 2 losing side lanes in theory, if not in Shin, and just going for later on, which is a bit risky. The RE might not bridge it.
No, and not just that, it does feel like that Maokai. I mean, obviously it can still be picked up here. It might just be a little bit on the nose, you know, no flexing like the Karma was earlier. But if it's not, I mean, I'm going to be curious as to what else they do go ahead and pick up here. The Malphite, though, very nice stop. Again, it still falls into the same veins, and it is going to be a Cassiopeia locked in. So trying to stall and deny that opportunity to jump forward. The Vi, the Ari, everyone. 3 out of the 4 right now out of Belfast are going to be stuck inside of that sludge.
And especially considering that there's not much range from the side of Belfast. Even the Aphelios, he is considered quite melee in case of ADCs, except when he has the Calibrum, if I remember correctly. So you will be having your share of fun as a Cassiopeia. Yeah, maybe you will get locked up, but unless you're in a 1v2 scenario, you can just dominate the game. Who will punish you early on? I don't see any answer.
Temporal made a face like he just drank like some
Yeah.
horrible juices like that.
It's,
And I gotta agree, right? That Lulu just looks off.
if you're gonna do this Ophelio stuff, instead of 4-5, 3-4 was fine. 1-2 was fine, because then you can move the pieces around it. Thresh would have done a lot more here than Lulu would. You are short on go buttons. You're short on pairing for Ari. If you lose the first fight, Vi will start to slide down in her ability to actually contest frontline, especially into the Cassiopeia. The Sludge, as mentioned, are real nasty. Thresh does a lot of work to move people in and out of there, allow them to play their game. Aphelios can play nice and far forwards, use the only bit of range that Belfast has with the Lantern, and instead he's going to walk a bit quicker and have the wild growth. And when he's already up in the air with Malphite, it's not going to do a lot.
Have you considered the Whimsy, though?
The Whimsy is strong with this one. So here I am, flaming Belfast. Hopefully they get something done and take us to a series. Verzik look commanding as we go into game 2.
Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting to see. And we are short on time here on the desk because we do have our wonderful casters coming back on for game number 2, looking for a push to game number 3, or Verzik trying to close it out 2-0. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much. And yes, this is it, right? For Belfast Storm. It's do or die now. This is the draft they chose. It has to work out. It has to make sure that they can go through this Verzik's lineup and get us to a climatic game 3. If they don't, Verzik just wins 2-0. It's just Belfast becomes nothing but just another step along the road of their, lower gauntlet run, which they've shown last year, and we'll see if they can continue it this year. Jike, how do you feel about the drafts for this game?
I have multiple things to say about the drafts this game. The first of all is to do with the bot lane, which quite fittingly I have a moon earring, a crescent moon earring on at the minute. Aphelios on 4, I don't hate. However, I am going to echo Temporal's statement of I don't like this Lulu, and I don't like it in this given situation. Jhin is a champion that does very well into anything that isn't directly titled, I'm diving you. Jhin cannot play the game if he's got things jumping on top of him. That's the opposite of what Aphelios Lulu is going to look to do. If you're going to pick Aphelios and you want an enchanter, you're looking at Melio, maybe Renata for disengage, but you lack go buttons like Temporal mentioned. And as we get onto the Rift, I'm sure that will become apparent throughout. However, I do like what Verzik did in saying, okay, we know that the RE has been picked to counter the Karma. We're going to move the Karma, send it to support, get a better pick in mid, as well as getting the counter pick for top lane. It gives them a lot more breathing room in terms of what they can do throughout the majority of the game, and they picked up the Xin Zhao, so has a good matchup with the champions around them.
Indeed, the game has started, of course. All the laners are just duking it out. Both junglers this time starting from their bot side. We'll see if they want to go for like an early kind of involvement here in bot lane, trying to gank or counter gank, or maybe they're trying to look upwards here, trying to see what they can do against this Shada Shin matchup. We got Malphite, of course, as a personal favorite of mine. I am a person who likes simplicity, strength. I do like simple champs because, my mechanics are not very good at all. So then simple champs will do. So, a little soft spot here for Shada's pick.
Meanwhile, I'm an Aphelios Zaya 2 trick. I don't have to say where my preference is here. But in terms of overall composition, I do prefer Verzik's in this situation. It's significantly easier to execute. There are a lot less what-if factors at play, and you have a lot more ways to just say, okay, we go.
Man, yeah, it seems like Verzik does a pretty good job in both games, just drafting themselves a comp that's pretty nice to play, and when gone together, very effective. Limsey is getting ganked by Strangler. He gets Limsey out, has to use the charm, has to use the flash to get away from that gank, so that's just a nice early victory for Verzik.
We saw it last game when the desk called to it. Blowing Limsey's flash early was a big part of the success that Verzik were able to find. It's no different this game. Limsey is one of these players who, if given time, will become a menace. But if you can find a way to abuse them in the early stages of the game, and you can get away with it, then you absolutely take that avenue. Because if you don't take that avenue, you're going to struggle to find a situation where Limsey isn't going to be super strong. So blowing this flash super early means you can look to return gank 3-6 when the RE isn't as safe. However, Strangler's been evaded.
Oh, wait, Strangler. Oh, gets his camp stolen and has to use the flash there. Dunlosey, well timed. Together with Shin, I mean, Shin pushed in his lane so he could just help out there, no problem at all.
Good early jungle pressure coming through from the side of Belfast. I like this as a contrast to last game where we saw Strangler being the one to control the enemy jungle. This time it is Dunlosey sitting on a 3-camp lead at the moment. I mean, Strangler has nothing to farm. The entire bot side's gone. The entire top side's gone. Dunlosey's more than happy to reset here. 4 camps up at this point with Krugs still available. This is a massive, massive lead, and it's a good step in the right direction for Belfast. But as we can see, Strangler looking to play on that lack of flash.
Yes, this time he is going in. Limsey doesn't have a flash used by Tycho, getting that slow, and Strangler is charmed, but is just not going to be enough. Really well played, both from Tycho and Strangler, continuing on their excellence from game 1 with a first blood for the mid laner once again.
It's really, really showing that Verzik know where to play, but Shin?
Ooh, no way. Shada, I mean, no way he survives this at all. He has a flash, but I don't think he's going to use it. Oh, wait! He decided to use it? No way! Wait a second! Shit, you can't get this! This can't be happening! How did this happen? It's the first blood for Shada! As the Myfa, he was running away! What?
That is twice in a row we have seen tanks solo kill bruisers for no reason whatsoever. I was ready to go on a tangent about how this bot lane's going to go because we were in a lull state. But apparently, Shida and Shin want to turn around to me and say, actually, no, you can't say anything. We're going to fight again. And, I mean, Shida, a perfectly timed flash into the white flag, just taunting Shin, saying, come and try and kill me. Commit too much. That's exactly what happened.
I cannot believe that. I thought in no world would Shada get a kill out of that situation.
Wait.
But yet we can't talk too much about that. There is perhaps another gank attempt by Dokai and Strangler, but they are just going to back off, noticing Limsey's going more top side, focused on the Void Grab. Here we see a replay of exactly what in the world happened.
So Shida is just being a bully at this point, trying to get the wave under, wants to take the reset, but Shin says no, pulls the wave and starts to chunk Shida's health bar down as well. As Shida starts to walk away, there's a lot of vigilance here to hold this flash. The leap comes in, cancels the auto with the flash, forces Shin to flash after them, but of course at this point cooldowns are all down. Shin has no way of getting back on top of Shida, and he's able to just walk it out and force the death under the tower. We see Grubs traded for first dragon of the game again, but I think Verzik much happier to give over the Grubs this game because again they have the easier win con.
Oh man, and that's just so tragic from the side of Shin, because this really does kind of give over the lane to Shada. I think at one point Shada's just gonna be way too tanky for Shin to really effectively, yeah, I mean, just look at this in top lane, right? Yeah, I mean, he has his ultimate. If he really wants, he can just go in after Shin. Shin has to just completely back off, but he is getting help, of course, from Dunlosey. Will use that ultimate to get out of that situation safely and live another day.
But it forced the Grandmaster of Arms out of Shin as a defensive tool under the tower, as Limsey has the Spirit Rush, should be okay. Forcing that Grandmaster of Arms reduces the kill pressure that Shin has onto Shida tenfold in this game.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
not-
and
not
at
just
a
the
certain
laners.
point, it's just so you can't pressure to top anymore because I feel like Malphite's going to be an absolute rock. And last time I checked, you don't hit a rock because you're just gonna hurt yourself.
Malphite
So
has
where
Glacial
else
Shroud.
can they really, yeah, where else can they really like leverage their lead? I mean, you know, it's just like mid or bot, but then bot seems so stable for them as well. This Jhin Karma, it feels so rough to try to get into them, and like you mentioned in the draft with the Lulu, they can't go in very easily at all into the Jhin Karma, so then they seem completely fine. In mid lane, Cassiopeia? You really gonna dive Cassiopeia?
There
it
isn't
just feels
much
so rough.
you can play for as Belfast Storm at the moment. Your bot lane, it's okay in the early stages of the game, but generally speaking, it's not a lane you can play to. I mean, you have no like setup engage, and sure, while Vi can pop ultimate into Vault Breaker, I don't think you necessarily have the damage to just melt through them because you don't have like a tank. You have an enchanter that's not notorious for doing huge amounts of damage, especially this Lulu, all skill shot reliant. You can't. It's very hard to play this bot side. You can play.
Oh, they're
towards
going
mid.
in. They're going in mid lane.
So
Oh,
they
okay.
are.
It seems like Limsey. Oh my god, that's just so much damage. Oh, this
Right,
time
guys.
we do have the Losi trying to help out, forces out some flashes. Limsey had to use his flash, so did Dokai and Strangler. In the meantime, wait, what's going on here in bot lane? What is this guy just like ulting and 1v2ing the bot laner here? Man, I
Yeah,
mean,
so-
some crazy stuff going on.
The good thing about Aphelios Lulu is your 2v1 is very, very strong. Aphelios realistically never going to take any damage. But it seems Soren J actually knew that going into the fight and just bashed Timmer's face in a little bit. Popped the ult to try and force Timmer to move awkwardly. And is able to keep the wave at a safe spot. Is under no pressure of dying
Oh!
while the support's roaming. And Dunlosi, on the other hand, might be a pressure of dying.
Oh, wait, Shada uses his ultimate but misses it, but Donlosi is now just getting slowed and hit by everybody. This is a 4v1 in top lane. Shin's just gonna go down to a double kill for Tai Cool. And this Cassiopeia is now 2-0-1.
And we are seeing Verzik really reap what they have sown. Their draft, theoretically, it should have very little early game presence, but they are using this mid-jungle support trio so effectively. Soren J now getting jumped on by Limsey. Footwork is good, and the TP's coming in
Oh,
from
man, the
Tycool as
TP
well.
comes in as well. Limsey, if you have your ultimate, you might have to use it. Nah, doesn't really have to, but man, that just... It's just so much going right for Verzik right now, and so little going right at all for Belfast, and it feels like they're struggling a lot. They need to find some way to get back into this game. Obviously, it's not over. It's only like a 1.5k gold lead, but I feel like just momentum-wise, and maybe even morale-wise, things are just going so well for Verzik.
The tempo is not in your favor as Belfast Storm here. You do have, again, you have this saving grace of you scale very well. You know, you've got an Ari, better than last game. You've got Ari Aphelios, a very, very good mid to late 2v, like duo carry. The problem you're gonna, oh, Dokai.
Okay,
Should've
this
right?
for sure should be a kill. Easiest kill of Limsey's life.
Yeah.
Boom. Gets the kill on Dokai. So that's one nice thing for Belfast Storm.
Yeah, like this is, generally speaking, Belfast just have to play the waiting game again. The problem is, again, there is a massive lead coming through on the enemy side. Your timer is getting longer and longer. The tempo not in your favor. And your AD carry is basically matched on scaling because you have no easy way to get to the enemy AD carry, who also scales extremely well. What we need to see from Belfast Storm at this point is Limsey and Donlosi linking up, playing as a duo, playing their champions together, because that is how they are so strong. That is why this duo is so feared. Vi Ari are insanely strong at finding and catching one person out, like they just did to Dokai. They just have to keep doing it on repeat while not losing resources anywhere else on the map.
Yes. In the meantime, Verzik took their second dragon, and the soul is going to be the Infernal Soul, so that is going to be high priority targets for both players. Shada is pressuring Shin quite hard, forcing out that ultimate. So that's Shin once again without ultimate. While Shada has an ultimate, I think Shin has to be careful. I think he can get one shot if he's not careful at all. This is around that one shot range from that Malphite. What did I tell you, man? I play Malphite myself. I know that. I know that damage number. And Shada gets another kill here in top lane against the Jax.
Ejun the Prophet coming through on that fight there. Yeah, another kill. And I mean, Shin is going to struggle to lane from this point on very, very much. Malphite isn't an easy matchup for the Jax at a base level. Blinding the Jax was very brave, knowing Sheeta can just pull out something random. I think, as I mentioned in the green room, I think it was as a way to stop the set coming out without having to throw a ban at it. But as we can see, it's been thrown into a counter matchup, and it's so difficult to try and play through, especially now that you are 3 deaths in the hole. There's very little way that you can pull this lane back, even with Don Losi there. Sheeta is sitting on a full frozen heart. Trying to kill this Malphite is going to be pain.
Indeed, it is going to be pain. And I mean, like, of course, it sucks enough just trying to hit a rock. But, like, at that point, a rock gets animated into becoming like an absolute beast. And now the rock is hitting you back, and it hurts a bit more. Probably way more than it should. So that's top lane basically done. I don't really think Belfast Storm should try anything else on top lane. So looking towards mid and bot, it's not really looking easy either. Cassiopeia with the Rod of Ages looking absolutely strong, and the bot lane just staying safe, ever safe as ever.
Now, we can see Momo opting to go for the static Shiv. I have done some testing on this, and it doesn't feel amazing. Aphelios does a lot of damage when you hit your Kraken IE spike, and it doesn't feel quite the same when you go this static Shiv first item. So I'm interested to see how the rest of this game plays out for Momo, and if this damage will be sufficient enough when you get online to really start to be a problem. But if there's one thing it does mean, it means that this bot lane can no longer push into you.
Nope, that is true. That is definitely something that could be a benefit, of course. I mean, so far, objective-wise, Dragon comes out in 2.5 minutes, but there is one that is up, that is pretty high priority, that teams usually want to play for. It's this Herald, and we'll see how they want to play this. Vi is kind of close around. It seems like Shada kind of wants to see, like, established vision around this area. But in the meantime, here in mid lane, then Losi gets the combo into Tycho, but Tycho just dodging things so well, forcing them to back off, actually. Okay, here comes Timur with that help as the Lulu. Oh my god, and now comes Momo with the damage. Okay, 1-for-1 support for the jungler. Can we get anything else? Oh wait, Shada, but that's a fed Malphite. I don't know you if you want to 1v1 this dude. Look at this man, he's going absolutely crazy as the Malphite. Yeah, I mean, he just takes no damage at all. Look how little damage they deal. And now Momo's kind of stuck here. Momo needs to be careful. Shada has that ultimate. You do not want to be messing around with that ultimate. Oh, here we goes. Malphite baby with the combo. Of course, he's going to go down to Limsey. But still, that's just really well played from Verzik all around. A lot of gold for them.
A huge angle coming through there. Soren J sees it, flashes forward onto Momo, sets up the 2-man unstoppable force beautifully for Shida here. I mean, Malphite's called a shard of the monolith. I think he's the whole damn monolith at this point.
Yeah, no, this Malphite is absolutely big. It's so interesting to see a pro game where Malphite is the one who's most fed and the most dangerous in the team. I mean, it really does say something about that champ. But in the meantime, Verzik, with that priority they've gained from that previous fight, and just all the members being here, with the TP by Shada as well for support, they are going to go for this Herald, and there won't be anyone who wants to stop it at all. So Herald will go to Verzik. In the meantime, they are looking top lane, and there is an Infernal Dragon coming up as well. And Shin is caught out between Dokai and Tycho. My god, what is this Cassiopeia? Is this even legal damage? We gotta check his internet. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, that is legal damage. That's completely legit stuff. At least Belfast Storm are fighting back. They're pushing bot lane as much as they can.
Dragon is up in 12 seconds. The bot lane tower has fallen, as you mentioned. Strangler is on the spot side, but could walk headfirst into Don Losi here. TP coming in from Tycho.
Oh man, oh yeah, the ultimate comes out as well. Strangler is definitely in a tough spot, but he is getting supported by his teammates, but he will still go down. Here comes Shada with that ultimate. My god, the unstoppable force truly is unstoppable. A teleport coming in a bit late from the Jax, but Shin wants to help out the fight, wants to go in on Soren J, but he's getting shielded, he's getting supported. Shin is rooted, and Shin is going down himself. The Q comes out from Shada, which will mark the death of Shin. And my god, just Verzik just keeps winning fight after fight, isn't it?
Verzik are playing so well here. I mean, Belfast Storm, they're trying to find any angle they can, but Shida just walking up and thunderclapping Momo at this point.
Oh my god. I mean, you just don't deal damage at all to Shada. I feel like he's kind of immortal in this match. He kind of feels like a Thanos. I mean, what can you do? I mean, there's just not much else to say.
Verzik, they send Tycool on a rampage. More like Medusa than Cassiopeia at this point, as everybody Tycool looks at just dies on the spot. 14-5. It's only a 3,000 gold lead. But that 3,000 gold is exactly where you need it to be.
No, I mean, for real. Like, with 3 dragons as well. I mean, it's like 3,000 gold, 3 dragon. It's just so much in the adventure. They have a herald they can pop it wherever they want. Towers are quite low from the side of Belfast, and they're not going to have too many ways of stopping them once they start pushing in. Here's a replay of the fight.
This is a good instinct from Strangler. Sees Donlosi walk out the bush, immediately pops the ult. So Donlosi is the only one doing damage here, and the fight starts. Strangler will fall to Momo, but Tycool and Shida are on the perfect flank. Another 2-man knock-up coming through from Shida allows this fight to play out, while Tycool forces Timur and Donlosi out. Shida forces Momo's flash. Now Shin has teleported into the backline of 3 people, and the shields coming on to Soren J from Dokai are unmatched. There is no way you can kill this backline as a Jax that's this far behind, and your damage dealers have already been pushed out of the fight. It is extremely well played from Verzik, and they know they can just walk at the bot lane at this point because they can't be killed. Dokai does end up trading his life for Momo's in the end, but that's a trade you call worth on every single day of the week.
I mean, yeah. It really just shows just how far ahead Verziks are. Like, even though the gold might not say so, just kind of, you know, like, realistically, how do they deal with any of the members of Verziks? I'm not really sure. Like, one is way too tanky, one is too scary to go into, and one is way too well protected. So, it just feels like for Belfast Storm, they need a miracle in their hand if they want to come back, not just from this game, but from this series, because once again, this is their last chance. They lose this, they're out.
That they are, but it seems the Devils are here to play, as well as here to stay. Verzik, they pave the path from hell, wreaking havoc in their path. But the storm, it's just not a stormy day, I'm afraid. It's just not a stormy day, friends. As hell does come to earth once again. We'll see if Belfast Storm can equalize the game. Again, a 4,000 gold lead and soul point to Verzik. And their composition will melt through Baron should they choose to do it.
Yep. Speaking of Baron, it is up indeed. Been up for about 30 seconds. Verziks can, perhaps if they win a fight, go for that Baron, and that's just something Belfast Storm, another thing they have to play around. Obviously, what also is going to be quite an issue, you know, also this Herald, is that dragon that pops up in about 2 minutes. Belfast Storm basically has 2 minutes to try to mount something. Otherwise, with Infernal Soul, I don't know what they can do.
Gonna get very hard. I mean, if we look at where the gold is, it's almost all exclusively on Shida and Tycool, but that's where you want it in this situation, right? Tycool, Cassiopeia, one of these hyper-scaling mages, does so insanely well with gold. And Malphite, I mean, he's just gonna make him unkillable. Already sitting on 2 armor items, so Momo's gonna have a time trying to shred through, and Donlosi's been jumped on, should be fine, but does force the TP from Limsey.
Oof, that TP does hurt indeed, because on the side of Verziks, they have 2 TP as well, and they have kept both of them. So there's only Shin with a TP left, so that's definitely less maneuverability that Belfast will have. In the meantime, Verziks has started up the Baron, and so far, Belfast Storm, I'm not sure if they don't know, or if they feel like they can't fight it. They are going to go try to scout it,
Blind.
but will it be enough? Will they get
Oh,
the...
Donlosi!
Oh, Donlosi! Oh, went to the pit way too early. They at least know it's happening. Donlosi, you have one more try with the Q. Can you make it work out? Oh my god,
Shayna!
but it wasn't even about the Baron, because on the backside here, Shayna with the unstoppable force, and the Jhin gives Soren J a double kill, and they are going to continue on this Baron, and my god, it's all over. It's all written on the world. Verzik, they completely destroyed the Baron and Belfast Storm.
Shida with another beautiful flank, setting up Soren J to perfection for the ensuing fight. onto the bot lane carry, onto the support, the two squishiest members of Belfast Storm melt like butter in the face of Shida. It just shows how giving a Malphite a lead can really end for you. And Verzik are playing to their win conditions beautifully. Again, this timer that I mentioned at the start of the game for Belfast Storm, it's ticking longer and longer and longer. You have 2 items on Aphelios now. Get to that third and the game is looking a lot more playable. But again, getting to that third is oh so difficult.
Oh yeah, and in the meantime, Dragon is up. It's do or die. Shada has his ultimate very soon. Tycho, of course, has the ultimate. I mean, basically from the side of Verzik, they have everything up, and Strangler going in with his ultimate, trying to start this out. Limsey has to use that ultimate defensively. Shada stun. I mean, what? Like, what damage is being done to this Malphite at all? He just stands still at some point. He's just taking up the damage. He's just soaking it up. He's like a sponge that just takes an infinite amount of water. And that's just Belfast Storm completely pushed away. And Verzik, if they want, they can just go Dragon.
I mean, it just shows the control that Verzik have. They're completely pushed out of the river and still force Belfast back to underneath their tower. At this point, you can push 2 waves with Baron. I like this. Tycool has gone bot, caught the wave, got the tower. Now moving back to mid as that tower falls as well. You're forcing split attention. While you carry on pushing mid, you send mid jungle to go and do the dragon and allow this cannon to just start to bash away at the tower. And these objectives, they don't stand a chance in the face of a 3-item Cassiopeia.
Oh man, textbook perfection right now from Verzik. They are playing like they are possessed. Are we sure this is like a top 5-6 team in UKO? I feel like these guys definitely have what it takes to beat some of our better teams. But I guess that just really shows the high level of play that our teams have here in UKEL.
We'll get the chance to prove it. Of course, if they win this game, they will be up against Lions Creed in the next round of the lower bracket, and then if they win that, up against Ruddy for a chance at fighting the loser of Venom Crest Paragon for finals. So they've got a long road ahead of them. Both of these teams do. If they win this series, there is a long road to finals. But if Belfast can come back from this, I think they've proven time and time again that they can. But it is all on Dunlosi and Limsey.
Yeah, and currently, currently they're trying to set up a trap there on that bush, but the members of Verzik, they're not there. They're kind of topside. They're trying to get this topside push instead, so Belfast Storm won't be prepared for this siege attempt. Shada just easily able to match Shin, making Shin have to back off, and this top tower is going to go down so easily.
I've just realized what production was trying to show us. Dunlosi and Limsey were sat on like 2 control wards for the enemy team.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, oh, I think it was 2 control wards for the enemy team. I'm not entirely sure, but they were showing us something to do with the vision, I'm fairly sure. However, that is all outers down. You are pushed to your base's edge. That is all the room you have to play with as Belfast Storm. And if you cannot find a flank angle as Dunlosi Limsey, if you cannot catch onto Tycool, if you cannot catch onto Soren J, you're going to find this oh so hard. 8,000 gold in the lead now, Verzik. Nearly back at that 10k mark from last game.
I mean, but it feels so hard, right? Because you have to get the backline, but then you leave your own backline exposed to the Malphite, the Jin Zhao. Because, like, you know, Aphelios, I mean, he doesn't really have a dash, so all he can do is flash if a Malphite comes in, or, like, I mean, just really good prediction. But that's just really risky of a prospect against, like, Shada. I mean, it just feels like such a hard game for Belfast Storm to play, even if they get a good engage.
The theory behind the Aphelios Lulu is they should never realistically be at threat of dying if they are jumped on because of the shielding and the wild growth from Timur. But I mean, this Malphite is so far ahead at this point that might not make a difference, as now knocking on the doors of the base, trying to sync up their waves. Shida hovering between mid and bot as Limsey looks for the angle.
Oh, here it is. That's a pretty good angle indeed. Tycho gets really low. Tycho gets down, shut down. But now Shada coming in. Oh my god, what is that damage? I thought this man's supposed to be a tank. Strangler helping out as well. And I mean, it's just the Infernal Soul. It's just too much, and it's not enough. And Verzik, they get an absolute ace over here. And I think they have what it takes to perhaps end this game and decisively win the series 2-0.
30-second death timers. It could be all she wrote. Barreling down this mid lane. Soren J does so much damage to towers. Shin, the last bastion for Belfast Storm to stay in playoffs. They keep trying. 10, 15, 20 seconds left on these death timers. That's all that's left. Doesn't look like they can go. They might be able to get one of these towers, but I don't think they can get both.
Yeah, I think they might just be happy going for that. Just leave the Nexus open. Just make it even more. Wait, oh wait, are they going for it? Oh my god, the TP comes out. They're actually trying to go for the end over here. Another kill for Shada, but the shutdown is there. But look at the Nexus HP is going low, Wait a second, Strangler's dead.
Soren J.
Okay, Soren J's got it in the end, and Verzik just like that decisively wins 2-0, striking fear into who have to face them next. My god, what a performance from Verzik.
The Devils have no fear. The Devils have nothing in their way. As the storm wanes and pitters out, as Belfast Storm will fall out of the UKEL 4 Nations Spring Playoffs. Very, very strong showing from Verzik. Last split, we saw them make a miracle run. They didn't quite make finals, but they came oh so damn close. And it looks like the Devils are laughing in the face of challenge again. They're saying, we're doing it again. We're here to stay. We had Lars before. We got Sheeta now. I mean, this roster is looking oh so strong. It's insane just how far ahead they were able to pull today, considering these two teams and how close they were in skill level. Verzik far and away blew Belfast Storm out of the water as they advance to play against Lions Creed.
Yeah, they look so impressive. I really feel like they can go all the way, kind of like last time, or at least go really far into the run. Yeah, it would be an incredible storyline once again. But that was enough from us, and we'll bring it to the analyst desk where they will definitely analyze this game.
It's the break. Okay, it's us, never mind.
It's us.
Hey, all.
It's us. Hello. Okay, so we were hoping for a few more moments to kind of gather our thoughts, calm ourselves down. Honestly, that game was anything but. From minute one, it felt like Verzik said, and I think Rev, you kind of mentioned this, it was a confidence factor, right? It was something that we mentioned that, especially for the compositions they were playing, they need to have confidence in themselves. And I think in that one, it definitely showed. From start to finish, there was never a point where we felt like they were really backing down from a challenge. And I would say that's an improvement from game one.
Yeah, that's for sure improvement, and it kind of shows in the way that they dominate the game. I'll be honest, I lost the first few minutes of the game, but afterwards I saw them coming in with the lead. It was more or less the same lead as they had in the game 1, 3-4K, but they were pedal to the metal, like hard stomping. Shida gave no worries to the end of the game. He was looking at them, look at me, I'm a magical boulder, and bomb at them time and time again.
Yeah, ban Gragas. You can't get rid of the moment. It's common. It's inevitable. Ophelia's not allowed to play League of Legends. We haven't got a replay for the first thing I want to mention, and this is like props to Verzik. This is their improvement over game 2. Like getting the jitters out. You know, clearly they've watched a lot of playoffs. They've seen the stakes. You know, even if they win here, there's a mountain to climb. Verzik of last split did a deep run. That's the expectation. These guys are going to show up in playoffs. They played a very similar line to the first game. I liked that it didn't take them as long to take Limsey's flash out of mid, repeat gank it, get the middle of the map going, and for Verzik, that was what stitched them together here and really allowed them to drive once again the victory.
And there were some moments where it did feel like the weight of the competition started to get to some players, and there were a few moments that we just sat there, and it's unfortunate to see, but it does happen. I just want to ask our production to make sure we have our replays set, because we have a few that we would really like to bring in. We have our first one, which
I should flavor this.
So before we go into this,
there is recording of me as a player still on a certain national university's Twitch channel having a far worse time than this, getting absolutely wombo comboed, and I was far worse. But with that in mind,
I haven't.
Rev has not actually. So Rev mentioned that there was something going. Rev, walk us through what's happening on our screen here. Just walk us through this.
I see Shin fighting into 1500 minions, but ultimately winning the fight. Shida, 100 HP, 2 HP. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, the bad manners. Oof. I mean, I think that Shida won the mental warfare. I don't know what caused the delay of the flash, but the S button at the end of that replay, I feel like it won the mental warfare. And if we had an interview right now with Shida, I think that he would have a bookcase right behind him filled with Sanchu's Art of War. Only that book like 300 times.
You must know your enemy, and I know my enemy well. I waved the white flag and still somehow got away with it. Shin, cheers. It's clear this meant a lot to you, and that's all right. That's what playoffs means. It'll happen. It happens to some people in scrims. Happens to some people with a camera on them. It's where we go afterwards that defines what happens next.
And I think I would like to say, as much as we highlight some moments, it also showed that there was never a moment of giving up, it felt like. Belfast, honestly, I give them a lot of credit. It's hard to fight whenever things go dire. And, I mean, there was a point where Verzik were quite literally just rolling over things. Rarely do we see Barons be taken at the same time as a fight occurring. It happened at one point. Temporal, walk us through a little bit of what occurred here, because you also, I think, were a little bit distracted during this.
Yeah, Dunlosey just checks. Was something I caught onto, and yeah, just a little bit of a moment where Belfast weren't expecting this to come through quite so swiftly, and they do manage to lose on multiple flanks at once.
Mm-hmm. And it was, again, I like I said, there was a point where Verzik knew they were in control, knew what they could do, and it's at those points that we do want to see teams step up. I think Ijun kind of pointed it out. There was a point where Verzik felt like they weren't a number 5 seed. It felt like they were pressing forward. It felt like they knew how to close out a game. And it was very impressive against a team that we mentioned, Belfast, never stopped trying to find that final opening. I think this last fight that we have at about 27 minutes, 27 and a half, really did exemplify that. Rev, Temporal, all of us were kind of sitting here saying, hey, give them props for what they tried.
Yeah, because that was actually a good fight. They got wallet diffed in the end, and that's okay. But after so many tries, you managed to do what you tried for. There was a little bit of an overlap again, but they never stopped trying. That look away from Lucy was excellent. In the end, though, you cannot fight versus the big rock, the boulder, Dwayne Johnson, call him whatever you want. And they were too far behind, but most other teams, I guess, would just let themselves bleed out slowly, and that's not the way of the Warrior. So 0-7 from me.
It's always hard to give credit to those that have fought the battle and lost, right? Like, I think that's one of the difficult parts. So yeah, I agree. 0-7's in chat wherever you want to put them, and unfortunately, Belfast's streak of not winning against any of the teams in here is unfortunately continuing onwards. They fought hard, but they will have to give their best shot later on as well. Congratulations to the side of Verzik, who have made their way, continuing on in the lower bracket. We said they did not have a second chance, and it is very true. I mean, I do want to ask Temporal to start. Looking at their next matchup, it's Lions Green. We didn't expect this, I think, in the lower bracket. I mean, how do you expect Verzik's, kind of expectations here?
You know, we put it like that. It is Lions Creed, so second seed. Gosh, that last 3 really resolving on the last day has thrown my brain in the blender. Up against 5th seed. Verzik in their most recent regular season games, if we ignore their final defeat that allowed Paragon through, did pick up wins sequentially versus Lions Creed, Ruddy, and Venom Crest. So, the deep run is on in the lower bracket. These teams will end up down there, and it's going to be that momentum, that swing of improvement. I'm not sure they were there based on today. Second game, a lot better, a lot cleaner. So we'll have to see if they keep that form up and make the third even better.
Rev?
Well, honestly, from here on, everything's a win. There's no expectations, you have no weight on your shoulders as Verzik, so there's nothing to lose. Even if you go out with a bang, you went out with a bang, you went out trying. So, with that in mind, being the underdog is a really nice place to be. We saw Lions Creed losing as the big dog, we saw Ruddy losing as the big dog, so you never know. Like, this is like the FA Cup of League of Legends. Every game can be a surprise.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, if there's anyone that's going to give us a surprise, it's one of the players with the inside track and inside knowledge of how they're feeling after the victory. Don't go anywhere. We here at the UK EL4 Nations will have an interview with Shieda in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. And we are back. Welcome here, everyone. We have our lovely guest, of course, myself, Temporal Rev. But joining us is the top laner of that 2-0 victory is Shieda. Joining us here on the desk. Shieda, how you feeling after that win here today?
I'm feeling pretty good. It sucks that I have to beat an old teammate to get the win, but it's nice that we lose 2 games in regular season to come out with a strong 2-0. Makes a difference.
Well, honestly, first of all, congratulations for the victory. I want to ask you something extremely important for the nature of top lane, and that is, how much do you feel that the S that you pressed in the tower dive actually influenced the matchup from that point onwards? The fact that you stopped your champion.
When I was getting tower dove.
Yeah, in that solo kill.
Oh, I didn't press S, I just started recalling, but it has a delay.
Complete evisceration, wasting no time, going straight back to base.
Yeah, quick
Spent my hard-earned money before it's even deposited. Shada, you've been around the UKL for some time now. How does this version of Verzik compare to previous teams and previous splits and like your vibe, your read on the tournament?
It's really nice because we have a few individuals on our team that aren't so sane, so it can be quite interesting to listen to comms sometimes. There's a lot of fragile mentals that are really fun to play with amongst the team, and I found out that I live quite near my jungler, so he started behaving a bit.
No pressure at all. Poor Strangler, eh? No wonder he's been trying so hard. Anyway, I'm sure it means you can celebrate together after a deep playoffs run.
Yeah, I owe him a fillet of fish from McDonald's when I next see him, so I promised him.
The currency of all top 4 nations teams, the McDonald's burger of choice.
Yep.
Not sponsored. McDonald's, if you want to get in touch, we're happy to talk. Happy to talk. When it comes to the split, we've seen loads of Shader set. It's been the pick. Banned away twice today. You think you're getting it in lower bracket? You're going to get to show Lion's Creed in a few days' time?
Maybe. I'm not gonna lie. The champion is hot garbage. He's really bad, and the only reason I get results on this champion is because I just know that how the champion works so much better than every other top laner in this league. They just don't understand that 0-2 set is still dangerous, and I just run around the map kind of with my head turned off, brain deactivated, and looking for some squishy people.
Peak set performance.
Exactly.
You know, that's the objective. It's like be as fast as you can. I'm gonna be honest. I dropped it after my win rate went down to 29% on the champion. But you shouldn't keep bashing your head into that wall.
Yep.
Well, not even single digit, I gotta say. I didn't expect that from you, Temporal. But shut up. From this point onwards, there's no big dog for Verzik. I feel it's pretty safe to say that every other team will be considered heavy favorites on paper. So what are your expectations and your team's expectations going forward into that playoffs run? Is it whatever it takes us, or are you confident you could go at least kind of deep into the bracket?
I think if we're not aiming for finals, then we're not doing ourselves justice, because we're 1-1 against all of the teams that are good in the league. The only team that we didn't manage to get a win against, I think, was Paragon, and I mean, they played a lot better than us on the day, but I'd be lying if I said that we played well. We played absolutely awful both times we played them, so I think if we're actually on our game, then things look different. Maybe not a clean win, but I think we challenged them in all lanes, so if we can take games against the other top 3, I don't see why we can't go further. It's just a matter of if we can win one and then win another one afterwards, or if it's just going to be that game 1 win into lose 2-1. You know, it is what it is.
A very, very realistic mindset, one peppered with a lot of confidence as well, which we really do appreciate. Shida, everything you have done here today, I think, is rewarding to the fact that Verzik is now moving on. Congratulations on that victory, and thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you. I dedicate this interview to Mr. Bungo. Let's go.
Yeah. Alrighty, Shida, thank you so much. Of course, to everyone else out there, we appreciate you tuning in to the lower brackets. Of course, more matches will be played out. I believe we have Super Saturday coming up next, and that'll be in the upper side of the bracket as well as in the lower. So we'll see multiple teams facing off in multiple rounds of combat in the best of 3s, which are very, very fun. Shout out to everyone that has tuned in, as well as to our production group, Project Gap. Thank you so much to them for letting us put this on, because of course, JMax Chill on production, as well as our amazing observers who gave us some of those picture-in-picture moments. I believe that was Beans as well as Cutie. Shout out to our desk as well, Ijun and Chica, for coming in here, and then of course to Temporal and Rev for being here on the desk and indulging with my silliness. My name is Orville. Thank you so much for tuning into the UK. It was a good time, right?
Go check out our social media as well. Ours is on the screen. You know, that's pretty cool. I think Shaders was back there for a moment as well. We're at the UKL on X, formerly Twitter. Let's be real, it's just Twitter, isn't it? I think there's an Instagram account with some dots and hyphens in it, which is lots of fun.
A Discord as well.
Yo, yes, get in our Discord. Link is on that X profile.
Yes, it is. Again, thank you so much to everyone who tuned into the 4 nations of UKEL, and we will see you all on Saturday.
up in that Lambo with the 10 on it. Everything on flip, 14 got a rims on it. I pull up in that Lambo with the 10 on it. Everything on flip, 14 got a rims on it. I pull up in that, 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 pull up Lambo with the 10 got it. Got him zone.